Hello, Tanya. How are you?
Hello, Diana. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Well, I'm fine too. I tried to make an interesting interview about our readers on our website for youngsters, and I found your story very interesting. So I would like you to share your professional experience and your studies about your brief introduction, maybe to our audience.
Okay. So, first of all, thanks a lot for the possibility to collaborate. I'm a marketing manager and I have master degree. I studied in Kiev University, and then I started to work in Kiev, in Ukraine. In some time, I started to work with an international company, ISQI, and now I'm a social media manager in this company. So my general work experience is like almost 4 years. So I'm happy to be in this profession and I like it because I'm always on trend and can be updated.
Where do you
Yeah.
live now?
I to make the long story short, I'm living currently in Australia. So I moved for a time. I don't know how long it will be.
So, what is your experience at the beginning of the military conflict between Russia and Ukraine?
So, 2 or 3 weeks before the war started, many politicians were talking about it. They were doing the prognosis and if the war will start or not. And actually, I couldn't believe that, but it started, and I started to get ready for it. So my car before the war was always full of benzene, and I bought more long shelf life food. But when war started, I understood that it's impossible to get ready for it, and it just happened suddenly. And the first idea was to pack the baggage and drive away, but the roads were already full, and everyone was running away. And then I started to pack my things, to pack my clothes, and on the second day, I decided to left Kiev.
So, where was your first stop after Kiev?
After Kiev, so when I left Kiev, my idea was to go to Kiev region because in Kiev it was hard and it started bombing. And my main idea was to go away from the center, from the city, and I stopped for one night in Kiev region by my friends. But after that, in the morning, we started to drive to the West Ukraine because there was more quiet. And we reached the West Ukraine and stayed for one night, and then we were driven another way to the border.
Yeah, so was it easy to leave Kiev and head to Europe? Uh, did you met Russian soldiers or on the road, and how did they treat you if you met them?
So it was rather easy to leave the Kiev, but it was still very dangerous and risky. And me and my friends had a car, and we were lucky to go by car. But people who were without car, they were trying to get by the train, taxi, everything. So it was for me it was okay, but for others it was hard. And
Yes.
on our road, luckily we didn't meet the Russian soldiers, but I know there are so many cases when the car were shooted or robbed or something like this. So um, I think I was just lucky not to be in
Yes.
such a situation.
Yes. And do you have contact with your friends now and your family in Ukraine?
Yes, I have. Someone are still there in Ukraine, um, and the situation is still very risky. The government actually doesn't advise to get back to the city yet, and some regions, for example, Kherson is my native city. It is occupied by Russian soldiers, and Mariupol or Kharkiv and other cities are also under the massive attack. So some friends are still somewhere abroad, and part of my family is still in Ukraine, part is out, so it's differently.
Yes. And what about the youngsters? Do the students go to school and do the children go to school?
Children know they learn online, and students also learn online because there is no possibility to go to the university now, and many boys and men are now in the army, so no possibility to thinking about studying, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. So do you plan to go back there? For example, you lived in Germany for a while, now you're in Australia. And where do you see yourself in the future?
So having the war experience now, for me, the meaning of the words like future or stability or certainty, it's very blurry. And for example, when I was living in Kiev, I thought it will be only a few days in Kiev region, but then I decided to go further. I stayed in West Ukraine, and I thought also that it will be only some days. But then I decided to go to Germany. There I stayed like 1 month. I was lucky because my guest family decided to keep us and to help us the first time. And now I got the visa from Australia, and now I'm here. And the next time I'm planning to stay here because now it's very dangerous to come back to Ukraine. And as I also said, the government doesn't advise to get back. It's still dangerous.
Thank you for the interview and thank you for sharing your story with our youngsters.
Thank you for asking and thank you for questions. I was glad to be here.